The weather may be cold, but we are off to a hot start in 2025. So far, 6-1 in our first 7 sessions, up about $3,600. But is that sustainable? Probably not. Well, let's go find out anyway. So I'd never seen this before. I'd get into the casino at 9:30 a.m. after getting an 8 o'clock workout in, and the game was already full. Somehow Reno Grinder showed up at that time, which I'd never before seen in my life. I actually said, "Can I buy you breakfast for your seat?" And in typical fashion, because Reno Grinder never has any comps, he said yes. The first hand comes when I would raise King Queen of Diamonds under the gun to 40, and it folds all the way around to a known calling station in the big blind who makes the call. So with 90 in, the flop comes out Queen 6-6, 2 hearts, and he checks. I just bet out for 50 here. And just as I expected, he makes the call. So with 190 in, the turn is another 6. He checks once more, and I make it 100. And he thinks about it for less than a second, I would say, before making the call once more. So with 390 in, the river is a complete brick. The deuce of clubs. And now he bets the pot, firing out 4 black chips. I have seen this opponent slow play pocket aces in spots like this before. I've seen him bluff, but I've seen him slow play a lot more than bet with nothing. Because again, at this level of play, slow playing is more common than bluffing. But would he really slow play pocket aces in a spot like this? I just didn't think it was all that likely. I thought it was more likely that he would find a way to show up here with a 6. The one thing that I definitely knew he would not do is make this bet with a queen trying to get me off a chop. That is completely out of the question. So it's either aces, a 6, or complete air. And this player had been running pretty good on the day, so I found it pretty unlikely that he'd be in a mindset of wanting to bluff and just give money away with nothing to a player who definitely is going to have a full house here. I fold the hand, and sure enough, I didn't think I'd get to see it, but I would. He shows Ace 6 for quads. Maybe that was an omen. You can decide for yourself at the end of the vlog if running into quads that early on could qualify. We get a young guy who must have some sort of a day job, but for a guy that does, he sure plays an awful lot of poker weekday sessions during the day. He opens to 30 under the gun, and +1 makes the call. I have Queen 9 of spades, middle position 1, and make the call as well. A man who definitely had a day job for a long period of time and was very good at it before ultimately retiring and made a lot of money, makes the call from the cutoff as well. So with 120 in, we go 4 ways to 9, 5, 4, 2 spades, giving me a pair and a flush draw. And sure enough, it gets checked to me. Now, in spots like this, if you're up against a bigger pair or a bigger draw, it really doesn't matter how much you bet. You're always getting called by those hands. So my approach, and some of you may think differently, but my approach is just to bet small and try to build the pot up against weaker draws or weaker pairs. So with that in mind, I make it 60. Cutoff, snap calls me, and the other guys go out. So we're heads up with 240 in to a turn card that comes in off suit 5, pairing the board. It's not ideal, but I can still get action from weaker draws and weaker 9s from a very loose player. So I bet 80. Cutoff thinks about it for about 2 seconds this time and makes the call. So with 400 in, the river is an offsuit 6, so I brick all of my flush outs, should I have needed them, and check. Cutoff now comes out and bets. I thought he was going to bet pretty big here, and if he did, I was going to actually give this some thought. He makes the same bet I just made on the turn, putting in 80. With that price out there, this becomes a snap call against a guy who is definitely capable of trying to get a really good price on a bluff with a different misdraw. So that creates a $560 pot, and he shows 5-6 offsuit for runner full house. It continues to amaze me how often when you flop a pair and a flush draw and money goes in, that your pair is no good and your draw misses. So stuck big early on, I then pick up pocket jacks under the gun. I make it 35, and it folds to a very quiet, short stack guy who I have no idea what his deal is, but he's been in the game a decent amount lately. Jams all in for $210 more. It felt like, given how short his stack had become, that he was going to be jamming all in with more than just aces or kings here. And I certainly had to hope that was going to be the case, though I'd never really seen anything out of him indicating that it might be. But I still put in the chips, making this call with jacks, creating a $480 pot. As I put in the chips, I announced that there were only 3 hands that beat me, and I hoped that he didn't have one of them. That was me trying to just get him to turn his damn hand over in an all-in situation, which is one of the things I think is better in tournaments than cash games, is that the cards have to be shown in an all-in situation. But he doesn't turn the cards over. The flop comes out ace high, and he says, "You have me." So I turn over my cards at that point, because that's just my policy. When a non-professional poker player says, "You have me," I just show my hand. After he sees my cards, he goes, "Oh," and then turns over pocket kings, and obviously wins the pot. I'm not sure what part of there are only 3 hands that beat me didn't really sink in there, but obviously, apparently none of it did. After that, I would look down at the hand he just had, but I would do so in a double board hold'em bomb pot. And with $200 in, with 8 players dealt into this bomb pot, I flop an overpair on both boards, and it gets checked to me in middle position 2. I bet out for 75 here, and I end up getting 3 callers. So with 500 in, I get a deuce on top, but a 4th spade on the bottom, killing my hand. Amazingly, nobody bets though. And the rivers come a 4 on the bottom and a 10 on the top, bringing in a 1-liner. So disastrous runouts on both boards in a spot where you're looking to scoop when you have an overpair to both boards in a bomb pot. No doubt about that. The guy in the +1 position bets out for 300, and I still have 2 guys behind me here. So I now think I have what amounts to be a pretty easy fold with pocket kings. So that's what I do. I toss them into the muck. And sure enough, one other guy would fold, and a guy with a straight would win the top, and a guy with the nut flush would take down the bottom. I would add on a hockey puck, and the next hand would be another bomb pot. This time, another big pair, pocket 10s, with 9 players, all of them dealt in. And with 225 in, the top board is 3-3-9, with the bottom coming king 3 deuce. I am first to act in the under the gun spot here. I bet out for 100. A 6'7" dude who I don't know, but seems like a good player. He kind of seems like a reg in this game, given the way he plays, though I don't ever remember playing a hand against him. It's kind of weird. Anyway, he calls MP2 and the button sticks around as well. So with 525 in, the turns come a 6 on top and a 7 on the bottom. I bet 175 here, still very likely, I think, to be good on one of these 2 boards against 2 guys. The tall man makes the call again, and the standard size guy on the button folds. So with 875 in, the rivers come a 5 on top and a 4 on the bottom. Now, I am still going to value bet this. I would do so more enthusiastically against other opponents, but you will be amazed at what hands some people will call you with in bomb pots trying to win half this pot. So I just think it's kind of a free roll, though it ended up being anything but, to bet here, because there will be spots where you get called just by one of the boards in which your overpair can still beat. So I make it 200. And to my amazement, this guy jams all in for about $975 more. It's really strange. Obviously, pocket kings would have me here, but it seems like that might raise the flop. I really don't think he would simply play aces or queens this way. That just really strikes me as unlikely. So what do I have to worry about? Well, king 3, certainly. 3-7. But I didn't actually end up thinking about the hand that he ended up having, although I should have. I gave it some thought for about 90 seconds and would finally fold the hand, which was not easy. I didn't think, obviously, because I folded, that I was going to get to see what he had, but he does show. He's tabling 3-4 for trips on one and a river 2 pair on the other, and this day has become truly horrific. I rebuy again and make a difficult laydown of an overpair against James, the actual professor, in a spot in which he claimed that I was making the correct fold. And that takes us to this hand. A professional poker player who I am not sure ever actually leaves the casino would make an early position raise here. He opens to 35 from +1, and middle position 2 makes the call. I am in the cutoff, cruising, and decide to see the flop in position. Big blind complete, so with 150 in, the flop comes out king 7-8, all diamonds, giving me a flush, and a gut shot, straight flush redraw. Original raiser bets out for 60 here, and it folds to me. I just call. There are several reasons for that. I'm not going to get into a couple of them, but I just call in this spot, and the other players fold. And with 270 in, we are heads up to the turn, which comes a red 5. I was hoping it would come a red 5. I was just hoping it was going to be the other red 5. He thinks about it for a second before betting out again, for a relatively small amount, making it 125. And I make the call once more. So with 520 in, the river is another 5. Again, the wrong damn one. And he now checks. So it is entirely possible that he has pocket aces with the ace of diamonds, pocket queens with the queen of diamonds, jacks with the jack of diamonds, or ace-king with the ace of diamonds here. So I make a bet hoping to get paid off by one of those hands. I put in 200. He thinks about this for, I would say, about 20 to 25 seconds and does the one chip call maneuver, creating a $920 pot. I table my hand, and he shows 9-10 of diamonds for a bigger flush, a fitting near end to one of the most nightmarish days of poker that I've ever played. I can't really fault him for the way he played the river there. If I was in the exact same spot against him, I think I play it the same way. But I add to my title of player who value owns themselves more than any other in the Reno poker community. By the way, I say near end of the session because the legendary Mr. W came back into the poker room after 2 weeks off and managed to bluff me off top pair shortly after when he didn't suck out on me, but got the perfect bluff card to make it look like he did when a one-liner to a 7 came in on the turn. So one of the rare times on the day in which I actually had the best hand, because there were basically 0 of those, I'd get bluffed off of it and would simply grab my last several $100 in green chips and take them with me to the parking lot without stopping at the cashier, booking an unforgettable, for all the wrong reasons, loss. All right, more than 290 vlogs, and I don't think I've ever recorded one of these wrap-up closing shot after session videos from outside my car after I've already driven the car home. But here we are. Turns out that when you run like I did today, you tend to be a little pissed off and don't feel like doing it at the casino. A $2,719 loss, one of the biggest losses in the history of this vlog. But given the hot start to the year, it's not a surprise that we'd have a day like this. And hey, it's January. I don't expect to run this bad on a single day again this year, so I'm glad that I got that one out of the way early. By the way, can I just ask, is it too much? Can we just have anyone but the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl? Is that just too much to ask for, please? I mean, seriously, that fan base has so much run good, kind of like the Patriots before them. It is absolutely insane. I would love to see a Bills Lions Super Bowl. Those are two fan bases, two cities that have never won. Would love to see one of those fan bases get the chance to experience it. So let's have that be the Super Bowl. Obviously, seeing the Ravens in the game, even though I root against them because they beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl. You got to love watching Lamar Jackson play football. So that would be super exciting as well. Let's just get somebody but the damn Chiefs in that game, please. Anyway, that's pretty much going to wrap it up. If you haven't already, just do me a big favor, will you, and hit both the like button and the subscribe button. Great for this channel, helps things out a lot, and I genuinely appreciate it. I am burying this at the end of the vlog with the hopes that only the hardcore viewers of this channel are still here and the casual viewers have tuned out, because I actually want to minimize the exposure that this is going to get, but I just have to say it. Obviously, if you're paying attention, you realized that there was no actual video shot inside the Peppermill Poker Room on this particular edition of the vlog or the one before that. And there is a reason for that. Unfortunately, I can't publicly say what the reason is at this point. If you see me and you want to know, I'll tell you. But I am told that it should be within the next week or two that I am given full clearance once again to do that. So obviously that'll be good news when we can get back up and running in the manner that I would like to be. And we'll see you back here next time.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me, and what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the fucking hours it takes to get some power. Don't be fucking sour, take a cold shower.